But let's just frame this first about what this moment is for the Prime Minister. This is the end of a whistle-stop tour to Poland, where he met Prime Minister Tusk and had a press conference with the General Secretary of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, and then obviously to Berlin, this meeting and press conference with Chancellor Scholz. And what's going on? I think this is a Prime Minister back on the world stage. There's two aims in this. The first is to refocus attention back onto the war in Ukraine. And the language of the Prime Minister, flanked by other European leaders, is this idea of Europe being at a turning point. He said there that Europe is at an inflection point, and when we look back on this period of time, it will be the moment, if you like, that the need of funding changed, that the assumption of peace on the continent was over. And so I'm just trying to get my notes back up. And that's really what he's talking about in the framing of this, and saying that for as long as it takes, the US, NATO allies, Germany, the UK will keep funding and supporting Ukraine, that Russia cannot be allowed to succeed. So there is a lot of that. Within the framing of that is a Prime Minister committing to the defence budget in a way. You heard him just at that press conference saying that this is about choices and priorities. As Prime Minister, he is arguing, his choice and priority is to fund defence, and he's doing that because he says it's the right choice to protect the country, and it's in our security interests as the world becomes more dangerous. And there's this axis of authoritarian states that he's talking about, Iran, China, Russia, that he said yesterday are moving with more pace and intensity to destabilise nations such as our own. So he there making a political choice about how he wants to fund defence, lifting the target of defence spending to 2.5% from the current 2% by the end of the decade 2030. And Jane, I know there's lots of discussions about the funding, but this is a political play, if you like, because this is a Prime Minister going into a general election where he is saying in a campaigning way almost, this is my priority as Prime Minister, challenging opponents to say why it would not necessarily be theirs, because of course it involves choices around spending. The Prime Minister outlining where he sees future spending can be reassigned to the defence budget, but that is choices, and he's choosing to reassign that money not to health or education, but to defence. So it is about choices. But really, I think this is partly about framing an election as being a strong leader, if you like, a wartime Prime Minister, prepared to defend the country, appealing to the base of the Conservative Party, who have been calling for this defence spending to be increased. And as I was saying yesterday, in the run-up to the local elections, being strong on defence appeals to many lapsed Conservative voters too.